Hi. Hey. Hello.
And now, our feature presentation.
It's Sunny, and we've got another emotional movie to talk about. If you haven't noticed by now, I'm like a very, very emotional person, so get used to it. You know, it's funny how I've only watched this movie for the first time this year, and yet feel like it's been here my whole life. This film is a whole bundle of emotions, and today we're going to dive into what makes it so impactful. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a 2004 American release, directed by Michel Gondry and written by Charlie Kaufman, based on a story by both alongside Pierre Bismuth. Gondry and Bismuth became friends in the early 1980s during Gondry's time of being a drummer in the French pop group Oui Oui. Bismuth generated the concept of erasing people's minds of certain other people in response to a friend complaining about her boyfriend, asking her if she was given the opportunity of erasing him from her mind. She said yes. Bismuth originally planned to carry out an art experiment where he was to send cards to people claiming that someone they knew had erased their memory of them, but instead conducted a story around it with Gondry on situations that would arise from its scientific possibility. Gondry approached the writer Kaufman with this concept, which at first wasn't a marketable pitch, but became a highly bid idea. After some time with Kaufman writing screenplays for many films and Gondry making his directorial debut on one of those scripts, being 2001's Human Nature, they got back to the project. But around this time, filmmaker Christopher Nolan played around with the memory idea for his film Memento, which worried Kaufman about similarities, and after big studio troubles, they managed to complete the final draft, and everyone was nervous. Kaufman particularly, as he downplayed the thriller aspect of the film to focus more upon the relationship, trying to play around with many angles of the story. After successfully executing his ideas from his perspective, he came up with the fitting title Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind from the 1717 poem Elysia to Abelard by Alexander Pope, and the movie was made, leaving me all these years later to explore why it is so heartbreakingly touching. With its setup of erasing the memories of our troubled protagonists, the film goes to the very extreme of creatively portraying the visuals of that situation to the maximum. The production manages to execute those ideas in very clever ways, playing around with our engagement and running across this dude's head into his memories, whether it be practical effects, dim lighting, or simple set design.
Look! Joel!
It feels cheap, but not in a bad sense where the film is clearly trying to go around its budget. Rather, it comes off as a very grounded yet still fantastical portrayal of this setup, feeling so simplistic yet convincing. The score by John Brion is so excellent. It has such a vibrant feel to it with its distinct set of instruments, really evoking not only emotion but the right bundle of emotions that make us feel so mixed up within the moment, just at the right time. It also knows how to perfectly sink in within the tone of a moment, whether it be for comedic, dramatic, or somber tones. And of course, the cinematography is supreme. Without it, the film wouldn't work. How it perfectly blooms the story from both sides of reality and imagination, having such a natural display within real moments, but such atmospheric colors within Joel's imagination. It really splatters emotion all over the visuals and is truly perfected by cinematographer Ellen Kuras. But another important note is that we care about our journey across these memories with our characters. The film presents two sides of one coin in terms of the narrative, with those two sides containing their own characters. On one side you have the Lacuna employees and Mary, Stan, Patrick, and Dr. Howard. Patrick is pretty much just a weirdo who serves as a foil to the main narrative, but he serves his role well enough and doesn't really contain much thematic purpose outside of the fact that his plan to repeat Joel's action and romantically connecting with Clementine fails due to her knowing it doesn't feel the same despite her memory being erased, which showcases the uniqueness in a relationship. The most important figures are those of Stan, Mary, and Howard. At first, we see Stan and Mary are engaged within a romantic relationship, both seeming to bounce off each other really well, but once Howard comes back into the picture, things change. We learn of Mary's true desires for Howard, and how the truth behind it impacts everyone involved. In my eyes, I like to see Stan as sort of Mary's way of progressing past Howard and opening to a new relationship, whilst Howard's stain of the past come back to affect her once again. On the other side of the coin is our main duo, Joel and Clementine. They're two people from two different worlds, one where Joel is an ordinary guy with deep and complex feelings for his world, whilst Clementine is a very alive and expressive person looking for her own peace of mind. These two bond because of their kinetic energy and how both fill each other, allowing Clementine someone to connect with, and Joel having a reason to feel alive.
When I was a kid, I thought I was. Can't believe I'm crying already. Sometimes I think people don't understand how lonely it is to be a kid. Like, you don't matter. My favorite is this ugly girl doll who I call Clementine. And I keep yelling at her, "You can't be ugly. Be pretty." It's weird. Like if I can transform her, I would magically change too.
You're pretty.
Jolie, don't ever leave me.
You're pretty. Pretty. Yes, we act.
But like all romantic relationships, it gets to that one point where they can't stand each other, eventually erase their memories of each other for good, only for Joel to try his best to hold on to her. To me, I was always rooting for Joel to manage to keep them, since no matter how bad a relationship can get, we always forget that we don't value the things we love most until they're gone. Honestly, I always believed they could work things out, but the answer as to whether or not they will or will not make it work is within the meaning of it all. There's a lot of unique interpretations of this film out there, and like all great art, though subjective, it's all perfectly in line with the film's deeper meaning. The one I discovered whilst watching this film is really the basic focus of memories. The only reason Joel and Clementine chose to erase their memories of their relationship is so that they could forget how awful it ended. But once Joel goes through the events of the film and starts remembering his flaws and all the great memories he shared with her, he regrets all his decisions. But it's too late. And so instead of feeling depressed about remembering the good times, he decides to say fuck it and enjoy something while it lasts, to live in the moment. This entire moment of acceptance with his memories being erased completely may just be one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema.
I didn't crash the plane. The plane crashed. I didn't crash the plane. Yeah, the pot balances it out. The pot brings it back up. That's why I smoke it. It's done. That's proven on the science network.
Just watch the road.
I can't see shit.
I don't know what it is, but that scene just gets me every time. I guess it comes from like a place of familiarity with me. But what happens is that the procedure works, and they no longer remember each other. But just like how Mary and Howard's relationship is represented, the ending details how the procedure never really worked at all. Though their memories are gone, they still end up meeting and becoming attracted to each other all over again, repeating the same cycle they had already gone through. This showcases how the experiment doesn't truly heal its patients, how despite their memory loss, everyone ends up repeating the same mistakes again. Is this a sign of fate? Maybe, maybe not. But what I do know is that the only solution that I found towards the end of this film is that for these characters to move on with their lives, they can either properly leave each other or learn to accept their flaws and continue their relationship. Humans are flawed. There's nothing we can ever change about that about ourselves. One of our greatest strengths is being able to accept one another's flaws. The ending truly leaves a chord for me, for a part of me likes to think they do end up repairing the relationship. But there's that one part of me that knows they never really managed to make it work. What makes this movie so touching and heartbreaking for me is how it serves as the ultimate emotional support. For a good some of us got ourselves into situations with our integral relationships where if given the opportunity, we would easily, without hesitation, erase our heads of those long and painful memories of our past, but tend to forget the good times and to always cherish those brief, joyful moments we share with special people to make it worthwhile, even if things ended in a way we wish it didn't. But by then, it'd be too late to go back. The real question is it worth it, holding on to those memories, or to make some new ones? So long, farewell, and goodbye.
How happy is the blameless vessel's lot, the world forgetting by the world forgot, eternal sunshine of a spotless mind, each prayer accepted and each wish resigned.